JKB back with another episode. Today on the show I'm reviewing the remake of MediEvil. Thank you to PlayStation for sending over the review copy. MediEvil was first released in 1998 on the PlayStation 1. At that time I was about 17 years old and everybody had a PlayStation but me. I was still on my Link to the Past bullshit at the time, but I have a good memory of seeing the main character's skull face all over the place, yet I never played the game back in the day. Now we flash forward to last week and Sony emailed me and asked, hey, do you want to review this for the channel? I thought, yeah, I'll get to experience the new look and feel of the game, and I'll start off by saying that I'm not quite sure the gameplay has aged that well. Well, that's the first thought I had before getting to the main boss. However, in many ways this game is more about the experience as a whole and not just the combat mechanics. The story is perfect for Halloween. You play as Sir Daniel Fortescue, who leads an army to victory over the evil sorcerer known as Zarok. Yeah, that's the story, that's it. Or, at least that's what the king of the land would want you to believe. But in reality, Dan was the first to die in battle by taking an arrow to the left eye on the battlefield, and the king decided to cover it up and declare that Dan basically won the war and he's the hero of the war. Now time went on and nobody really knew the truth until the evil sorcerer returned and raised everybody back from the dead, and this includes Dan. The only issue now is that everybody else who died in battle knows the truth. Dan isn't the hero. He's kind of a joke to everybody. But it's time to actually become the real hero. And this is where I'll say that there's some really great writing in this story. The story is decent. It does feel like a game from 1998 in the way the story is told. You'll load into a small section of the map and you'll get a little further into the game and get a little bit more of the story as you begin the next level. Overall, the story is enjoyable enough. It's lighthearted and goofy. It really works with the visual style of this game, and I could see why so many people remember the character from the PS1 days, but never played the game. The character design is iconic in Sony's world, and, not as iconic as Twisted Metal, which I'd love a, PS5 remake of, but the imagery of this game is iconic to any Sony fans from back in the day. Let's get into the mechanics for a second. This game was clearly designed to be a fun hack and slash experience. You'll load into a somewhat small area from the world map screen, and you'll realize that these are very small sections of a bigger world. The feeling of moving the character, however, is very loose. It definitely does feel like a PlayStation 1 game. I'd call this more of a arcade hack and slash. You're able to switch from different weapons at times, from close to ranged weapons, and even hold a shield, which is very important to the strategy of this game, because if you don't learn to block, you'll die a lot from the incoming attacks. Combat is very simple. You'll hack away at enemies, you'll avoid attacks by using your shield, and for some of the weapons, you're able to charge up the weapons by holding the attack button and letting go at the right time, dealing much more damage. Now, this is very useful later into the game when there's more enemies on screen. There's platform sections of this game that are kind of mixed in with the combat, but they don't mix too well, so they've kind of moved the combat away from the platforming sections, and you'll be trying to avoid, boulders as they roll down a mountain at the beginning of the game. And for the most part, during any of the major platforming sections, you'll need to learn either how to jump over something or use your shield to deflect it. However, your shield has a status bar and it takes damage, and once you lose your shield, you have to find a new one, or you'll essentially die in these sections, and that can be kind of frustrating. But on the other hand, this is a video game. It's designed to be what it is. It's difficult, and if you can't go over that, well, it can become very frustrating. So if you're not prepared for this, be prepared. You're going to be frustrated at times. It definitely is an old school PlayStation 1 game, and that's fine. I'm not going to deduct points because it's frustrating. It's frustrating in a way that I feel that maybe the jump mechanics and the blocking mechanics could be better, but you can do it. So just be better. Don't complain, just be better like I became. There's a collection system in the game, and if I'm not going to spoil anything, it's going to be this. That's for the people who really enjoy the simple gameplay mechanic here, because there's a reason to come back and explore if you like the game that much. Overall, this is a PlayStation 1 classic, and I can understand why they decided to remake this game for Halloween. If you've played the original, this is something that you'll definitely want to check out. I found a lot of the combat to be extremely loose. The hit detection is, well, let's just say awful, and the camera isn't exactly perfect, but the charm of these characters keeps you playing even when the main game loop is very repetitive. The only real strategy here is blocking attacks and picking which weapon to use. You beat the first level and that's about it. You've basically played the whole game through. At least that's what I thought until I met the first boss. This is when the game became frustrating to the point that I actually had to stop for an hour because I couldn't figure out how to damage the boss no matter what I did. I couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong. So either I'm a complete idiot or the game didn't do a great job of even giving me a hint on how to damage the boss. That left me kind of feeling frustrated until, of course, I figured it out. Once again, the game is flawed, but if you love the original, you'll love this. Even if you've never played the original, be prepared to play a game that looks like a PlayStation 4 game with gorgeous graphics that were clearly inspired by Tim Burton, but the mechanics feel like a PlayStation 1 game. There's hardly any depth to the gameplay, and that'll turn off a lot of people here expecting more. But there's more to it than just being a simple hack and slash because, well, the story's worth experiencing. That'll save the game for most of the people out there. I'm going to give MediEvil a 7 out of 10. Visually speaking, it's gorgeous. The animation team did an amazing job bringing these characters to life in-game, and in closing, this is the perfect game to play with your kids during Halloween, and I recommend it for that reason. If you enjoyed my review and you like what I did, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next episode of JKB.